Hey guys, it's Remy. I'm back to play some more Stanley Parable. I can't talk, words are hard. And yeah, this time I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do everything he says instead of doing the opposite, because I spent the whole last episode doing the opposite of what he said. And then the second time I was like, let's do some of what he says and some of not. And I end up dying every time, so I don't know. We'll try to do this a little more by the book this time and see what happens. My daughter said something about I forgot the exact word she used, but it was basically a beautiful thing. The ending is glorious. And we'll see what happens. That's when you do everything he says. I don't know. We'll find out. Oh, I can skip the beginning.
Of a man named Stan.
We don't need to see all that again, because I already did that once. So, nobody's here.
All of his co-workers were gone.
All of them are gone.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
It's my room right over there. Let's see here. So, the door on the left.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On his left. $411. Here's the meeting room. I've been in this room before.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Up the stairs. I've done all this before, so...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
What does this say? Executive bathroom. I want to see what that looks like. Here we go.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number.
Extra secret PIN number.
2845.
2845.
But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this, and yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
It was because the narrator said it.
Opened passageway.
Okay. It's really dark over there. There's probably monsters or something. And then we're gonna go down the lift. I've done all this before, so I'm not that worried about it. On a previous playthrough. More loading screens.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Wouldn't. I've still not answered that question, despite having played this game a couple of times.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Yes, I do. Full of television screens. That is a lot of TVs. I could watch all of the TV at once. Cameras.
Now the monitors jumped to life,
Nice.
their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building,
Nice.
Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Freedom meant nothing. Wonderful. But ain't nobody there, because look, they're all empty.
This mind control facility,
Was it
it was too
427,
horrible to
right?
believe it couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this
427,
time?
right?
Was this the only reason he
There.
was happy with his boring job?
Nice. I know you
That
can't
his
see me pointing, but I just
emotions
pointed
had
at my
been
monitor anyways.
manipulated to accept it blindly?
Right.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never.
Never.
It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly
nice.
spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
And the facility power. That's where we're going. Mind controls idle, awaiting input. Haha! I win. Maybe I win, I don't know yet. Could be horrible.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away.
I can't see what I'm doing.
And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone?
Right?
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power
Wow, look.
that he had been seeking.
It's like he said in the demo, it's just...
Perhaps his goal
It's
had not
beautiful.
been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know.
That's it.
It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing.
I hope this is a giant
Stanley
TV screen.
stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Wow. Singularly, piercingly beautiful. And the achievement for beating the game. Well, there's that ending. Back in my office. Good. Now let's go find out what happened to these employees.
All of his co-workers were gone. What
This
could it
is
mean?
different.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Really? Is there a meeting? Oh, here we go.
When Stanley
It
came to a set of
moved. It's
two open doors,
different.
he entered the door on his left.
Yeah. Door on my left.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping... Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Right?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
No, I didn't. I went downstairs.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that.
Yeah.
And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy.
This is a...
And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out
This
of
is
existence
weird.
in a single moment for no reason at all.
Did I just
None of it made any logical sense.
break it?
And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
They are.
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled.
Yeah.
This is all a dream.
It's gotta be.
Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Yeah.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
Nice.
How was he remaining so lucid?
It's awesome.
And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Right?
Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange.
I'm just gonna keep
I'm
walking.
dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself?
Yeah.
Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life.
And I'm trapped.
Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This
Right.
voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
Yeah.
I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please.
Please.
It's all I want. I want
That's
my
all I want,
apartment
to push the buttons.
and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Open your eyes. And of course. I'm still on the thing.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I'm real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Wow. I just blacked out, I think.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself.
Wow.
And then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
I died.
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life.
Wow.
She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Wonderful. So I'm crazy. At least in that ending I am. And everybody's gone again. That's 2 endings now this episode.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Yeah.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So, yeah, maybe I'll just end it there and all the...
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
He's still talking. The guy's still talking. But yeah, I'll end it there and we'll find... I'll pick this up again next time and we'll get another couple of endings done and see what where things unfold. Make sure I don't go crazy or get crushed by anything. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.